What is going on, all of you amazing people out there on the internet? Hope you are doing well. Hopefully, you're staying hydrated. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to all of you. Stay hydrated. The air quality is back to normal here in Southeast Michigan, according to the air quality website. We are good to go. If you don't know who I am your resident senior developer advocate at TuxCare, and I would love it if you would follow me on Twitter right there. And remember what I always say, it will always be Twitter. It will never be X. Twitter.com/SaltandBurnham. If you want to know more about TuxCare and all the awesome stuff we do, the great blog posts that we write, ELS, secure chain, kernel care, all the cool tools and software that we provide, head on over to tuxcare.com and make sure that you're also following Twitter, or follow Twitter, follow TuxCare, twitter.com/TuxCare_. Make sure that you're giving that a follow. I want to bring up to the stage a buddy of mine that I've known for over a decade. He and I are good buds. We've hung out at many a conference. I've been to his house. He's a former Michigander. He is an amazing person, one of the coolest dudes that you will ever meet in the community. He's backstage right now. He's got a smile on his face. I think I see him blushing a little bit. I'm going to take him off mute, and I'm going to bring him up on stage. What is going on, big dog?
How's it going, Chris? I hope I can live up to the hype that you just put.
The hype is true, and you know it's true, and everybody else knows it's true, because you wouldn't be where you're at in this community, in life, without living up to those standards. But hey, that's what Michiganders do. You know, we're authentic, and we're legit people. So it doesn't matter if you live in Kentucky now; you'll always be a Michigander. So
I know, and if somebody told me I could make a career out of just geeking out to stuff, I wouldn't have believed them. But here we are.
Here we are. So tell everybody who you are, what you're about. You moved companies. This is your first stream at the new place. Give us a rundown.
So I've been a software developer for like 20 plus years. I know that makes me sound ancient by today's standards, but yeah, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and I spent the last 10 years working in UI and UX, and I've always been a big fan of like anything that's, the newest, shiniest thing. So I've been following AI for about that much time too. So people don't realize how long AI has really been around, but it's been in play for quite some time. But the media hype has really caught up, and the last couple of years since large language models have really burst onto the scene, like it's just really jumped into high gear. Everybody knows it. You can't escape the news.
Mm-hmm.
So that's led me down a career path to kind of shifting gears from your traditional UI and UX that you think of in, say, your phone or your browser, where you've got interactive things that you click and buttons you mash and all of that stuff, to natural language interfaces and being able to just use natural human text and voice to do work, like interact with computers. It's really cool stuff, and it's part of the reason that I decided to join DeepGram and be part of the voice agents that we're working on here. It's just really cool stuff, and there's so many different avenues we could take this. There's accessibility things that people don't really understand from this technology yet, and just the ways you can interact with applications has changed. Like we think of the industry a couple of years ago, when I was moving jobs last time, I was building websites, and the company I was working for, I said, you know what, everybody's moving to mobile. Like this whole mobile first movement was just getting started. And I launched like one of the first industrial websites that was mobile friendly. And that whole transition from static, desktop applications to websites that can be viewed on any device that's any shape or size, It's kind of the same type of transition that we're in now. It's like we have apps. We're used to like downloading apps on our device and interacting with them physically through buttons and things. But now we're to the point where you can press a button on that app and talk to it, talk through
Yeah.
an agent. But I think what people are kind of missing with that equation is similar to how we transitioned off of, static desktop to mobile responsive. It's like, I don't even need the phone anymore to interact. I don't need the desktop anymore. All I need is a microphone. It could be on anything. It could be, a wearable. It could be my phone, but it could be, through my headset. And I'm just talking to it while I'm taking a run, which I've done, by the way. I've talked about that with, I think, John Bristow on our Eat Sleep Code podcast. It's like I was troubleshooting some health issues. Highly don't recommend this, by the way. But
No, I wouldn't do that either.
troubleshooting some health issues by using a voice agent while I was running, because I'd get to certain points in exercise where something would hurt, and I'm not going to pull out a phone and start keying something in the middle of a 1.5-mile jog.
Ed, we're getting old. We wake up and we hurt, bud. Come on. You don't need to have a voice agent to tell you that.
Yeah, but I wanted to marry up the data with like my fitness tracker and a map and all of these things. And the best way to do it was just to pull out my phone and cue up the mic with, just a hot button and just talk to it and record things that were happening in real time and timestamp all of it inside of an agent. And then the agent could take that context and run with it later. But I wasn't going to like stop by the side of the road and start filling in a form. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. So these voice agents are really going to change the way people interact with software, and it's an exciting place to be in.
Well, I want to step back because you touched on something really cool that I like to talk about for anybody that's new in the web game. Before responsive mobile, before we started building responsibly, responsibly, we had M.dot websites, and I talk about M.dot websites all the time, where we had the desktop website, and then we had the M.dot whatever that was. So like deepgram.com or deepgram.ai, and then we would have M.dot deepgram.ai, and that would be the mobile version, and then you would have your desktop version, and then we got rid of that. We moved into the responsive type of thing. So for anybody that's tuned in, that's new to the game, Ed and I are old school heads. Like he said, he's been doing this for a long time. I've also been doing it for a long time, 30 years. That makes us web in old years, old in web years, but not old in human years. But I mean, we wake up sore and hurting, and exercising and running makes us sore. So if you didn't check out what I just put up on this screen for anybody that's tuned in, make sure that you follow Deepgram on Twitter, twitter.com or x.com/Deepgram. Yeah, it'll always be Twitter. It will never be X. Like I said, deepgram.ai. And then we'll get into this more, I'm sure. But if you wanted to check out Deepgram, you could sign up right here. console.deepgram.com/sign up. The title today, and we have 30-ish, 40 minutes to fit it all in. We can always do a part 2. The future of UI UX with real-time voice agents. Tell us all about it, Ed. What do we need to know? What is it all about? We touched on it just a little bit, but you are the AI person when I think of the .NET world, because you and I have hopped on old streams, Code It Live, etc., to work on AI stuff inside, the AI portals and all that stuff through Visual Studio. But now it's like the game has switched a little bit for you, in a sense. So tell us all about this, because this sounds really interesting, especially when you talk about the accessibility piece. And I know, yes, I've walked away from accessibility things, but I'm always still wanting to learn more about accessibility, even though I'm not active still within the community.
Yeah, you're not active, but you are an accessibility guy at heart. I know it.
I'll always be.
And there's a lot of really cool things that we can talk about here in that regard. But just jumping back to, you mentioned the .NET community. Still love the .NET community. I just got I think it's my 12th. It says 11th on the website, but I don't believe it. I think it's my 12th Microsoft MVP award. Just got that last week. I'm still a big fan of the Blazor community, Daniel Roth, and all the work that he's doing with the ASP.NET team. This transition, career-wise, though, has put me in a place where I can talk about more than just that. That is part of the equation, but it is not the total equation. So I've spent a lot of time in the last 30 days doing Python and TypeScript and working with Claude code and just building stuff and doing the DevRel thing, but in a different way. So I am DevRel for DeepGram that is focused on partnerships, and we have a lot of really cool partners. So this is fun and exciting stuff to work on right now. I'll show some demos in a minute if we have time, but
Definitely.
one of our partners is Pipecat, and
Pipecat.
yeah, Pipecat. It's an open source framework for building voice and video agents. And one of the things that is just really cool about it is the thing I told you about before. Like I could build an app with a traditional UI, and I could add voice agents to it, and you could talk to those voice agents through like your browser or something. But you could also set these things up to like make phone calls, and you could talk to the agents over the phone or video conferencing type software. There's like so many different ways to plug these things in now. And the reason for that, I didn't get into the reason. Like there's a shift. Like everybody probably recognizes voice agents as something like boy, it might trigger some devices even in my own house if I say them. But there's things like Siri and the Echo devices and the Google smart devices and things that have agents that you can interact with, right? How many times have those been good experiences?
True.
Right? Usually it's okay. It might turn your lights on and off successfully once in a while. I haven't had traditionally good experiences with them. But that was before natural language interfaces and large language models really took shape. So they're a little ahead of their time. And what's happened is large language models have allowed us to get a better understanding of what the user's intent is. And if you've done any work with building AI agents, you probably have heard of function calling or tool calling. And this is something that allows your agent to perform actions. It could be within code within your application. It could be connected to an MCP server, and it's gathering data from an external data source and calling functions out on some remote software application device. And that type of thing has changed the way these voice agents work. So you're going to see all of those type of devices get better, but you'll also see that you can add these things as custom voice agents to your own applications and have them call code within your apps and do things. And maybe it's best represented by a demo. Like if I
everybody loves demos. I love demos.
Like it's very much a visual thing for a lot of folks, including myself. So I'll share a demo I've been working on. You might have to put it in action there. And hopefully all the voice part of this comes through. These are tricky demos to do live on a live stream, by the way.
Can you bump up
if it goes
can you
awry.
zoom in?
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
you zoom in? Yeah, cool. Perfect.
This is something I worked on for a hackathon that's coming up in August. There's a hackathon being put on by an open source provider and company called MedPlum. So they have the infrastructure for like building patient like databases and things, and have all that compliance and everything that's necessary underneath the hood already baked in. And one of the things that's part of the hackathon was like, we need to have these patient intake forms easier to fill out. How can we have AI help us fill these forms out? Well, the traditional way is to just tab through these things and type it in. Usually you have like a person sitting across from the patient and they're having to help them fill this thing out. But what if you could just, talk to AI and have it do it, right? So this is kind of the general concept. Again, I built this like in a couple hours, so there may be
You got to teach me your ways on how to do all this cool shit in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Like you always keep these little tricks from me, Ed, and you've been doing it for years.
Like the man behind the curtain, right, from the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll kick this off.
Hello, I'm here to help you with your intake. May I have your first name, please?
Yeah, my first name's Ed.
Great. Ed, what's your last name?
Charbonneau.
Thanks. Could you please provide your social security number?
You got my last name wrong. It's spelled Charbeneau.
Thanks for the correction. Ed, could you please share your social security number?
Yeah, we're not going to do that. I'm on a live stream.
I understand. The social security number.
All right, so you get the idea, right? So it's walking me through the form as if a person was sitting there doing it with me, and it's keying it in as I go. Another thing that our voice technology can do, DeepGram has really good models that can sense interruptions. So if you're talking to one of these agents and it's talking over you, you can, as soon as you start speaking, it'll stop. So the user experience part of this is a whole thing on its own. Like,
wow.
You and I have done a lot of UX stuff.
Yeah.
And people, even in this space, don't typically think of it as user experience, but what they're doing is user experience. There's
Right.
a lot of like nuanced things with your voice that fall into a bucket of UX for me. So things like being able to interrupt the agent talking, or being able to correct things that you're saying in real time, like people stammer and think. Our models detect that type of behavior. So if you're umming and awing and things like that, that doesn't come through in the transcription. So that doesn't get muddied into, you could turn that off if you want those things, obviously, but usually what you want to send to your model or be transcribed isn't all of those pauses and ums and ahs and all of the, the noise. So you can cut through that noise with these models as well. And, there's a lot of stuff coming that I can't talk about yet in the emotional state of these things. So the way the voices sound empathetic. So if there's, if the voice is delivering bad news, it doesn't do it in a cheerful way, right? That's a bad user experience. And there's like that whole uncanny valley conversation we could have too, but we'll save that for like a later episode when I have some bits that we haven't quite made public yet.
Yeah. So what is the technology that is creating this, that is running this? Like, did you I know you're not a huge vibe coder person. I know you like to write code by hand. I've seen you do it on stream. What do you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not at all. Because I trying to figure out how to create like the best way of creating like a Claude Markdown file, because I have ideas and half-baked stuff that I've created, but I still go back through and I try to highlight it and have Claude explain to me why it did what it did, and explain to me like if there's a function call or something that like syntax I've never seen or used before, which happens. I don't know the last time I've ever used certain hooks in React, because I've never needed to use them. And if I've never needed to use them, then I'm never going to research them or like figure them out, right? If you don't need it, why put the work in? I guess I'm just old school like that. But what technology is behind the scenes that's making this all work?
So on that demo, I actually did vibe code quite a bit of it, but it's based on a blueprint that I developed a while back. So that concept I built by hand when LLMs first came out. So that one's almost about 3 years old, that the pattern that I used there. And I did it in .NET, and I did it in Blazor. And then I wrote about it, which is a good thing, because that I can now use those writings to go back and tell the agent like how to do things. So when I built that, I was like, I got to build this proof of concept for MedPlum. Here's a thing I built using Blazor and .NET, and you can find the pattern here. but I need it in React, and I need it in Python and TypeScript, and I also need like the prompts, the system prompts and things. So go ahead and take those, and then I needed a little bit of direction on the way MedPlum operates. So it's a whole new thing for me. But thankfully, they had really good documentation, and they had a storybook. So you know what storybook is if you're not in the UI space. Storybook is like it's like a
Design system.
Yeah, it's a design system, but it's like a menu of components that you can use. And you can just pull things out of that menu and put them in your application. So it's like, oh, this is great because I need a chat UI and I don't have to build one now. They've got it in their storybook. So I pointed Claude at the storybook and I was like, give me the chat UI from their storybook. Tell me how to connect my Docker container to the front end so I can get this running locally. And it kind of handheld me through some of that stuff. And then it took the code that I had already written before and it translated it into the different languages that I'm not as accustomed to. So like that sped things way up and I was able to get it done in a shorter amount of time. But the original project that I built, that it was all based off of, took months. Like that was a lot of research and development I did, like nights and weekends type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of figure out like how do you get a user interface, an AI agent, and a person all communicating on the same screen, right?
Yeah.
And the folks over at Copilot Kit are doing stuff like this as well. Like they've put a protocol around doing things like this, but it's all about sharing metadata with the AI about the form that's on screen, and then the voice part just takes it over the edge. It's like this makes sense. You could type things into the chat box and it'll fill the form in, but then when you can talk to it, it just makes it so much easier. We could talk a little bit about like the user experience aspect or the accessibility aspect of that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, let's talk about that.
So think of the form that I just showed. What if you're doing patient intake and you don't have physical means to operate a keyboard?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
especially in a scenario like that, like you're making something self-service where you would definitely need another person to help someone with a physical disability fill this form out.
Right.
But now, because it's voice enabled, they can self-service and just talk to it and walk through that process, fill the form out and submit it themselves. And you don't have to have, say, at the kiosk at the doctor's office, a puffer device or an alternative input device. Like they can now just operate this normally.
That's pretty cool. When you were talking about being able to identify like the breaks in speech, uhs and ums, a stammer, how would that handle someone with a stutter? Would it know that that person has a stutter and it would stop until they got like the full word or the full sentence would come out?
Now that's a really good question, and I don't have an answer for it. That's something I'll have to take back to the team and find out. It's a really good one. There's also there always needs to be an escape hatch for different users that have different needs, right? So voice is really, really good for folks that don't have that physical means to interact, with a keyboard and a mouse, the traditional way. But not all users can use their voice to do this. But on the flip side of that, the text to speech is really cool because text to speech can enable people to communicate with voice when they have none.
Yeah. Well, this text to speech is way better than using a phone because autocorrect and like our phones for as much, well, I don't know how to put this. For the advancement in technology that is built into these things, whether you're on an Android or an iPhone, you're an Android user, I'm an iPhone user. The tooling can't get it right. What are the differences between what we're doing here with voice agents and text to speech and what's in these devices? Is it not the technology? Is the technology just not there? And essentially, at the end of the day, we're paying for the hardware, not the software. Which, I mean, I really do think that's the truth. But
Yeah, so on device, I'm not 100% sure what's happening on Android versus iOS. I would imagine that they're doing local. There's some kind of local. It's probably not a voice model like DeepGram uses. It's probably more like a neural network that's similar in some ways, but not to the extreme that we have. So these models are much more capable, and you're a little bit limited by the hardware that you have. And remember, it might not be for iOS, but especially for Android. Android can run on anything, so you have to be careful like what you put on those devices. You might have a little cheap wearable device that's running Android, and you pull up the keyboard. You don't want a model that requires like an NVIDIA silicon. You know what I mean?
right.
We've got data centers that are running like H100s and things like that are processing some pretty high performance models. And that kind of brings you to the latency aspect of it, which is why I pulled this demo. Another thing that's changing, and it goes under the UX bucket, and accessibility and all of that, is the latency of it and the locality of it. So people change dialect from region to region, language from region to region, and you expect these things to be snappy as well. They need to be real time, otherwise it feels awkward. Like you're waiting every time somebody talks to get a response back. So this is a PipeCat demo that I put together, and this one kind of demonstrates where latency is something that can be mitigated by a couple different things, and locale matters. So this one we'll connect the microphone up. Let's see if these are tricky. Let's see if it gets the right microphone.
Hi there. I'm Alex with customer support. How can I help you today? Hi, I'm Alex with customer support. How can I help you with the right microphone tonight?
I was just making sure my microphone works correctly. Thanks.
Sure thing. Try speaking into
Yeah, I'm
your
going to
mic.
interrupt you there. I'm in the middle of a podcast, so we can't keep going on with this conversation.
No problem at all. Good luck with the podcast. If you need anything later, just give us a shout.
So
Wow.
let me disconnect so it doesn't repeat that or keep listening. But it took my latency away. But what I was going to show there is the latency was like 122 milliseconds. It's like very close to instantaneous there. It's not anything under about 250. People aren't going to really notice.
Right.
So in this app, I've got a drop down, and we can swap between Australia. And what this is actually going to do, when I hit that drop down box and I hit connect, when it sees me connecting with these options, it's going to change a couple things with the server application. So the server is going to move its endpoints to Australia.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it's using Amazon Bedrock. And Amazon Bedrock, they have locations, servers everywhere. So I'm going to connect to a data center in Australia, because if my app is in Australia, I don't want it connecting to the US
Right.
and sending, especially if it's sensitive data. There's a lot of export rules, especially in the EU and in Australia, about where data can go, where it's stored, and all of that. So I want to locate everything I can in the location that it's in. So that's what it's going to do. It's going to shift to Amazon Bedrock servers in Australia, as well as DeepGram's servers in Australia. And on top of that, it's going to change the accent of the voice. So we'll connect it back again.
Did I
I'm Sam from the support team at Aussie Tech.
How can I help you today?
We're just checking up on things here live on the podcast.
No worries, glad to pop in on the podcast.
What could I do for you today?
So if you
Wow.
look at the latency times, they're higher now because I've transferred over to the EU. These are actually really
Right.
good, by the way. I don't know why they're so good today. They've never been this good. Usually the opposite happens on a live stream. Everything kind of falls apart. But the latency was like 122, I believe, on the US side, and it was like 300. So it almost doubles.
hmm
So if I was in Australia, I'd see the opposite. I would see the lower latency there. And then it would double if I tried to reach out to the US servers. Plus, like, accents change across borders. So
Right.
our models have an Australian accent, and this goes for text to speech or speech to text as well. When you're transcribing, you may want to use, if you have especially like a strong dialect, you may want to use a model that's more dedicated to receiving that type of input.
hmm
The browsers are okay at text to speech to text, but large language models can do things a lot better. And one of the aspects of the DeepGram transcription models is you can customize vocabulary. So if you're doing something like in the medical field, or you have a product name and it can be misinterpreted, you can actually correct that very easily through like a dictionary. So you can supply
wow.
a dictionary, and it's like you just give it the word. There's like some really long medication examples that we use, and it's like now when you speak these, it will translate those properly into those dictionary items. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's you're blowing my mind. For huge. For huge.
It's one of the reasons that I made this change career-wise is there's just so much to do here, and I feel like the space I was in is kind of somewhat a solved problem.
I see a lot of friends of ours, people in DevRel, that are moving more into AI stuff because like they were doing maybe a little bit of it in a prior role, and then they just wanted to like full send and move into the AI role. So like one, two, at least a handful of friends of mine, probably friends of yours too, that have done this. So that's pretty neat to see. But you break it down in a way that I would want to get more involved in it, especially when you're talking about UI and UX and accessibility, because that's my whole entire background. That's your background. That's really, really cool. If anybody wants to get started with real-time voice agents or voice agents in general, where should they start?
So if you can share that sign up page again, if you just go to console.deepgram.com, hit sign up, what's really cool about our sign up is no credit card required. And then you get $200 in credit to
Wow.
just play with voice agents. That $200 is going to last you a long time. Like for a developer, tinker, or whatever, that $200 will last you probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably going to be like a year. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to really use that kind of, money with something like this unless you're deploying. Like if you take it and you have a voice call center, that's where you spend money. You're not spending money developing. Like these are just, running this for 20, 30 minutes is going to take up a couple bucks or something.
Yeah.
It's not anything crazy. So $200 lasts you a long time. You can go out and just build whatever thing that you'd like, test it out, kick the tires, come up with new ideas. And then off our homepage, there's some widgets and a playground. You can just try things out directly on the site if you don't want to get into like installing bits and doing all of that. And we also have a tool that you can hit off of our website called Saga. It's from
Mhm.
for Apple, and it gives you like a voice transcription service that you can run locally, and you can basically voice type into anything on your computer. So it's a it's a nice way to get used to the voice interactivity, having to type less, and it's all in one place. You don't have to like remember where the microphone button is in every app that you own, if they have one. So you can just sit there and transcribe and send emails, and put it in Claude, and uh, do all of the voice dictation that you like with that.
That's cool. Before we wrap, Ed, is there anything that you want to plug? Conferences, anything?
Just follow me on Twitter. I go by my name there at Ed Charbonneau. I'll announce things on there as they get going. Still a little early for me, so I don't have any travel plans quite yet. I know it'll be coming soon, but I just started onboarding 30 days ago, and most of it has been like digging into our documentation, helping our teams that are getting ready for these hackathons. We do a lot of hackathons, so if you just follow us and look for all the announcements around that, you'll find us popping up all over the place, especially in the San Francisco area, New York, the big tech hubs. There's always a hackathon you could probably find us at. There's a lot of them there. My coworker Naomi, she's doing a great job at fielding a lot of those, so you might see her in the wild.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for giving the time to not just myself, but everybody that tuned in. We will do a part 2 of this. We'll build something on screen. I think that'd be really, really cool. Next week, we do not have a stream. I am traveling. Work travel starts again. I will be in Portland, Oregon for Chain React, doing a lightning talk on JavaScript, React Native, security, and ways to protect yourself. So if you are in Portland, make sure you go to Chain React, check out Chain React's website. And with that, we're out of here.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Chris.
Later, man. See ya.